Okay, for this tutorial we're going to be talking about weather and sky. So this is going to be more about the sky sphere, how to set it up, how to put it in the level, and what to do with it. And then we're going to be talking about day-night cycles and things like that, and then some weather and fog effects. So let's start with the sky. So there's a sky sphere, which is a custom sky sphere, which when you drop it in the level, you change a couple of properties, and then you've got it includes day-night cycles, storms, well, storm, it's got snow with snow and rain, which it we can trigger them manually using triggers, or we can they'll happen on a timer, on a set timer. So let me just quickly demo the sky. So on the sky sphere, I'm just going to set a few properties quickly. I'm going to set the sun speed. Let's just bump it up, and I'm going to set the wait time in seconds to 1. And then I'm just quickly going to run it. Just ignore the character here. This is just a test character. And you'll see the sun is moving through the atmosphere. It's very hazy because of the atmospheric exponential height fog. Not atmospheric fog, exponential height fog. And you can see this, the night sky also comes in, and then the stars come out, and then it also changes color depending on a few variables. The color will actually change. The night sky will actually change color depending on it's got some random luminance values that it uses. Let's just make it cycle one more time and see if we can see some of that. So now normally this would be happening, and also you can see the clouds there, it's changing to green this time. Just to give the night sky something that's a bit more interesting than the usual. Sometimes it'll also change the opacity of the clouds, so the clouds can become less opaque and more opaque, or more transparent, less opaque, and that also just happens, you know, as the cycle continues, just to break it up a little bit. As for the night sky, we'll probably be using a custom night sky texture in future. And there you can see it's changed. So this is what I was talking about. So here you can sometimes get a pitch black, and the stars look red here. That's quite cool. I didn't expect that. All right, so that was the one thing I wanted to show. Then the next thing is, let's put those values back to their defaults. So the sun speed moves very slowly, only at about 5 units per second. And then it waits about 45 seconds before it moves the sun. So you get a really long day and night cycle. And then this would obviously be saved along with the game. So let's go over some effects. And also you can check out the sky sphere. And see how we did that. So most of the magic happens here in the tick event, where it just linearly interpolates between, you know, whatever it needs to do, whether it's doing a storm, the cloud opacity, you know. There's quite a few things that it does, and it is based off the sky sphere that you get default with Unreal Engine, so with the starter content, but this has been heavily modified. It's not the original one. Okay, so then for the fog, we're using full volumetric or 3D fog, using our own volumetric material. It's a very basic material with a little bit of a panner going on there. And then that's brought into a particle engine or particle emitter, and that particle emitter is responsible for emitting this fog. And this is all dynamic as well. So we've got fog blueprints, cloud and fog blueprints. So this will actually create a fog area around the player, which will then spawn this cloud blueprint. Now this cloud blueprint can follow the player. So that spawns this the volumetric cloud emitter, and it can follow the player based on some settings if you wanted to or not, which is this cloud far. So the effect you get with that, is, so you can quickly create a dynamic. So there, you can see the fog kicking in. So now we're not changing anything in the sky. We're just surrounding the player in fog, and you can outrun it if you're really fast, but it would then slowly catch up with you again. So in normal game time or game speed, because this is obviously what we use for testing, you can outrun the fog cloud, but it will catch up with you again as you return to normal speed. This is obviously not going to be a speed that you're going to be moving in game, and then there outside of the box it'll dissipate or disappear. That cloud up there is something else. That's a static cloud that doesn't ever go away. So here's the fog effect again, and there we're out of the trigger, so it should dissipate. Okay, so let's take a look at some weather effects. I'm going to trigger, first of all, I think this is rain. So you'll see that this also affects the sky, the cloud opacity randomly, and it also affects the fog. There could be fog depending on factors, and then of course we've got the rain particles here, and you'll also see there's splash particles as well, and it's based off the height of the particle itself, particle emitter itself, sorry, yeah. So the rain particles themselves are using collision to not go through geometry. There was some lightning there as well, which is just a little beam. The beam doesn't look that great. We'll probably refine it at some point, but this is kind of cool for now. So there, out of the trigger, the rain goes away. Let's see if we can trigger the other one. So I'm just going to trigger the rain one more time. There you can see the sky, it immediately changes and then kind of does this lerp. I'm not sure if we'll change that at some point. Alright, let's see if we can trigger the snow. So there, the rain's gone. Let's trigger some snow. So this is our snow effect, which is just really snow particles. Okay, so that's our snow effect. And you can see it also includes some lightning. Not sure if that's correct, who knows. And then the way we did that, triggered it in the environment. It will also trigger randomly in the environment using the sky sphere. As you can see here, the opacity is really overblown. It's just, it randomly comes back after the storm, depending on stuff. So all that really does is there's a function here that we called storm function, and that will actually initiate the storm. So what we do is we control when we want the colors determined by the sun position, or where we want to override it, and then we'll set them to some values, and then the storm will kick in. It's either going to be rain or snow. So it will, depending on if it's rain or snow, it'll either kick off snow, the snow particle effect, or the rain particle effect. Now FX snow is set to FX snow, which looks like that, and then we've got FX rain. Which is our rain effect. Let's put some rain over here. And see what happens. So you should try and spawn the emitter as close to the character height as possible, I think. Yeah. So it was just supposed to create the illusion of a splash. It doesn't actually use collision or anything like that to splash on the terrain. It just creates the illusion. You can see some of those are just, it's just a plane. So it would have been better if it could use collision, but that's a little bit expensive on collision, then try and do a splash. There's no need for that really. As long as you spawn this emitter at the same height of as the character, it should work. You can see it's not following the slant of the slope. So we showed the fog, the weather and the sky, and some of the rain and snow particles. I think that's it for this one. Cool, thanks for watching.